Hi everyone in Molecular Diagnostics. I'm going to do a few quiz reviews. So what I do is after every quiz and exam, I go through the statistics on each question and I'll look at every question very carefully where at least 60% or more of the class answered the question incorrectly. And then I'll analyze it if I think that the question might need some rewording or was confusing in some way. I'll usually give you the points for that question. If I do think it was a fair question, I'll keep the question, but I will do one of these reviews so that we can go over that question so that you don't get stuck on a similar question like that for the midterm exam, the final exam, or on a board of registration exam. So, for the replication and recombination quiz, actually everyone did really well on this quiz, pretty much. Every question except for one, at least 60% or more answered every question correctly. So I do want to go over the one question that a lot of people did not answer correctly, and that is a question regarding the Okazaki fragments. So the question is, the enzyme that's necessary for formation of Okazaki fragments. And the answers, the possible answers were primase, gyrase, polymerase, and helicase. So hopefully all of you taking this quiz can immediately, looking at this question and you're thinking about Okazaki fragments, there's a few things that hopefully you can remove. So one thing about this question is that in reality, all of these enzymes are necessary. So there isn't actually one answer that's blaringly incorrect here. And here's where sometimes multiple choice questions can get very tricky. Because in a multiple choice question, the key thing is to choose the best answer. So sometimes multiple choice questions can be such that all of the answers, or two of the answers, or three of the answers can technically be correct, but only one of them is the absolute best answer. So the best answer, and what I was looking for in this one, is the enzyme primase. And the reason I was looking for the enzyme primase is because if you recall, primase is that enzyme that when you are making a duplicate strand, you need that enzyme primase to come in on the lagging strand and develop a short little primer. So that's going to be done by the enzyme primase. And then your polymerase is going to come in and generate the fragment from that primer. And then again, your primase is going to come in and make another primer fragment. And your polymerase is going to continue making the strand. So remember, that's what's needed for the lagging strand. For the leading strand, it's a little bit different because your polymerase can just come in and then copy the strand continuously. But the lagging strand, in order to generate an Okazaki fragment, you absolutely have to have primase. If you do not have primase, you will not ever make that Okazaki fragment. So that's what I was looking for in that answer, even though all of those enzymes are necessary in, unwinding the double strand and separating the strands and making the complementary nucleotides of that strand in order to copy it or replicate it. But in order to specifically make an Okazaki fragment, you need the enzyme primase to generate that little tiny primer piece that is going to initiate the elongation of that lagging strand. And actually, that was the only question that seemed to be a bit troublesome. And so that's very good. And just keep in mind that when you're taking any of these types of multiple choice quizzes, try to figure out which one of the answers is the best answer. And if you can narrow down or come up with reasons why that one answer is the absolute best answer, then you're going to be very happy because you will do very well. Multiple choice questions, in my opinion, are very difficult. So you really have to read the question, figure out what the question is asking, think about answering the question. I suggested this in the discussion session. Actually cover up those answers. Try to come up with the answer, because sometimes you'll come up with the answer, and then when you read those answers that are given, you start to second guess yourself. You start to confuse yourself. So cover the answers, read the question, think about how you would answer it if it were a short answer question and you didn't have choices. And then when you look at the choices and that answer that you thought of is there, you can be at least pretty confident that your answer is correct. Maybe not always, but that's how I have to do a multiple choice exam. So try it out on some of these multiple choices. And of course, you don't have enough time to sit there and ponder for 10 minutes for each question, but if you really know the material, you'll come up with each answer, if you cover up the options, within 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then move on to the next question. So I will be doing this periodically for quizzes, and we'll do a much more intense one for the exams so that we can review the questions and you can learn from any question that you answered incorrectly.